For the longest time, Uber has preached about the benefits of their tier-based rewards program, which they fittingly named Uber Pro. And with fantastic rewards such as free language lessons with Rosetta Stone, a one-year Costco Gold Star membership card, to even a cash reward for Uber's highest rewards tier, and also 100% tuition coverage to Arizona State University Online, you'd think this would be far more than enough to any and all Uber drivers trying to qualify for it, right? Wrong. You see, in order to actually qualify for these rewards, you need to meet very specific criteria that most gig drivers absolutely despise having to deal with. And with such a high value of rewards that comes at such a costly price, I decided the only way to find out if Uber Pro was worth it was to try it out for myself. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my experience of trying to qualify for Uber Pro for the last 3 months, the struggles that came along with it, and answering the question we all want to know: are these Uber rewards and tiers even worth it? What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name's Key, and if you're brand new, pronounced Key in. And take a look at the new studio, new haircut. Well, actually the studio is the same. I just organized it and got some new shelving units for it. And the haircut is almost exactly the same because I'm growing out my hair. I just got it cleaned up recently. And it's also been like a month and a half since I've posted anything. And I do apologize because I know it's been a while, but I've been working really hard on some videos behind the scenes, including, well, this one. And on top of that, I've also just had a lot to do, including getting this studio cleaned up and getting myself cleaned up a bit. So if you guys would actually like to see a studio tour, by the way, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm planning on getting one out very, very soon, if possible. And if, of course, you guys are interested in it. That aside, let's actually discuss Uber Pro and also figure out what actually is Uber Pro. Well, according to Uber's website as to what Uber Pro actually is, quote unquote, it is a system where you earn points, give great service to riders, and unlock specific statuses along the way so that you can earn a bunch of the rewards like I listed at the beginning of the video. To qualify for Uber Pro, all you have to do is, well, drive for Uber. Uber will give you 1 point per ride at minimum, sometimes up to 3 points per ride if you drive the peak hours with Uber, like I've discussed in previous videos, and you will go up specific tiers of Uber's Pro status in 3-month quarterly periods. Uber's current Pro tiers are as follows: Uber Blue, which is what everybody starts out at, everybody qualifies for this regardless of whatever the rest of your stats are, Uber Gold, Uber Platinum, and Uber Diamond. Now we'll talk about actual requirements to get to these tiers a little bit later in the video, but something I should mention is that the points system that you use to go through these tiers will differ market to market. So for example, I think it's increments of 300 points per tier. So to get to Uber Gold, I need to have 300 points. Platinum, I need 600 points. And I think Diamond is 1,200 points, if I'm not wrong. I'll pull it up on the screen. But for some of you, Gold may be as little as like 100 to 200 points, or maybe even all the way up at like 500 points. Like I said, it's gonna be different on the demand and the market that you're in. So your mileage will vary with this. So let's talk about the rewards for each tier. Now, you should know, once again, this is market dependent. All of these rewards that I have may not be in your market as well. But with that aside, let's start with Uber Blue. The baseline is that you get discounts on a bunch of stuff. You get discounts on gas, EV charging, 7-Eleven, car maintenance, Jiffy Lube, health insurance, TurboTax, and even QuickBook for some reason. Oh, and you also get 24/7 roadside assistance, but I think it's separated and discounted depending on which tier of Uber Pro that you're in. So Uber's baseline is like 25%, I think. For Uber Gold, their highest perk, and maybe solely the reason as to why anybody would want to be an Uber Pro driver, is the 100% tuition coverage for Arizona State University Online. Like full ride completely for free from what I can understand for your undergraduate, which is absolutely spectacular for something as simple as just driving for Uber. Now, you should know that you will have to complete a specific number of rides. I believe the baseline is 2,000, which is what's in my market. So you'll have to complete 2,000 rides. You'll have to actually hit Uber Gold by the end of that 2,000 rides, or we'll have to at least have 2,000 rides and be an Uber Gold driver when you go to redeem the ASU online coverage. You also get language lessons with Rosetta Stone, which is Again, really, really awesome if that's something that you're interested in, and especially because there are a lot of Uber drivers who are people who have immigrated into America and are just kind of learning the ropes of the English language. So that has to be amazing for them. I'm fully on board with that. You'll also get to see your trip duration up front if your market doesn't already allow it, which from my experience, the only 2 markets I've ever had that problem are some weird spots in Pennsylvania and in New Jersey for some reason, just because it's New Jersey. And you'll also get that little status badge on your profile, which, you know, is literally just basically a sticker, but, you know, it's cool. Lets your Uber passengers know that you're legit, I guess. I don't know. For Uber Platinum, this is where the perks really start to get more centered towards the app itself. So you get an extra destination filter if you have already used your 2 previous destination filters and just did a really long ride, which is awesome. You get that Costco Gold Star card membership thing. I already redeemed that and it's amazing. I love Costco. You'll get area preferences, which are basically just the sections of your market, so that if you're in one specific section of your market, and you want to stay in that section of your market, you can set it so that you don't get any rides that will take you out of that part of your market for the next 2 hours. And something that they list for Uber Platinum is that you'll get dedicated customer support. The only problem with this is that I don't know why they list this in Uber Platinum, because you can also get this dedicated customer support through Uber Gold. It's just called priority customer support. And to be honest, it's probably not that much better, at least from my experience, than just the baseline Uber customer support. And once again, you'll get the status badge on your profile. And honestly, at that point, if you're at Platinum and you're at Diamond, that might actually give your passengers a little bit more security. I think at Uber Gold, it's just a little too common because Uber Gold is pretty easy to hit in most markets. But I think at Uber Platinum and Uber Diamond, that's a little bit more of an actual status symbol. Now for Uber Diamond, you get priority queue access for airports, but only for UberX. You'll get a one-time cash reward, but the amount will vary by your market. For my market, I think it's $350, and they actually just recently nerfed this, as I learned on Twitter, that now apparently you only will get this reward once, despite the fact, like, if you hit it multiple times, like in a row consecutively, or just multiple times in your Uber driving career, you're only going to be able to get it once in your entire Uber Pro lifetime, which is really stupid. I don't know why they're like slighting the long-term drivers. For drivers who are going to be dedicated enough to hit Diamond every single time or a majority of times throughout the year, that's just a really big slap in the face to them, Uber. Come on. And the feature that I wish I had gotten to Diamond for, just to see if it's really worth it, is the highest quality customer support that Uber will offer. And like I said, I'm really just curious to see if it's actually as good as I've heard some people say it, because if it is, that might genuinely make Diamond status worth it alone. Because I hate having to deal with the baseline Uber customer support. No disrespect to the people that do those jobs, but I will say it is so evident when the person you're talking to on the other side of the line doesn't know English properly and they are reading off of a script, and it's infuriating. And unfortunately, the dedicated customer support that you get with Gold and Platinum isn't much better. In fact, it might just be the same level, just like the same like tiers of people, but just they just say it's a higher tier. That wouldn't surprise me. And one more time, yes, you get the Diamond status badge on your profile. Nice and shiny, very cool. So this all sounds lovely, right? Amazing rewards through each of these tiers, all of them giving you an actual incentive at least once to try it out. But this would not be Uber if it didn't have a couple of problems and requirements attached to it. Now, the requirements will vary by market, but for most markets, it's like this. You need to have a star rating of anywhere like 4.8 or higher. For my market, it's 4.85 stars, which is super easy. You don't have to worry about that at all. Cancellation rate should be 5% or lower of your last 200 rides. For me, it's 4% is the highest you can have it, which again, really easy if you don't mess around. And then the one requirement that completely kills this for a majority of people is acceptance rate, because you need to have a 70 to 85% acceptance rate in a majority of markets. And for me, you guessed it, I'm at the high end with 85% being the baseline to hit even just Uber Gold. Now, something I learned recently is that some markets actually don't have any acceptance rate requirements. Lucky them, man, because I would love to have that feature in Philly. Now, as for my experience, I've been Uber Platinum before, all the way back in October of last year. And this year, I actually wanted to give it another try, not only for content, but I was genuinely just curious to see if the perks had gotten better from the last time, because I'd heard rumors of being able to get more reservations and premiere rides, like I mentioned in a previous video, linked up there. And obviously the holidays were really, really good and it's slowed down since, so I wanted to give it a try. I qualified for Uber Gold in around late March/early April. I achieved Uber Platinum in the last 2 days of the quarter that I was available to do so. April 30th, I believe, was the exact day. And let me tell you, it was torture. Keep in mind, I'm in a really good market when it comes to even just UberX as a baseline. And it was so frustrating having to deal with some of the people I have to deal with when you take UberX share and baseline UberX rides. And then just having that fine line of having like a, being picky enough to ensure that you're still making money, but not so picky that your acceptance rate doesn't fall down below 85% is such an impossible balance. To give you some context, Uber does the acceptance rate thing by every 200 rides, which is actually nicer than 100 rides, and depending on when it's nice and when it's not, when your acceptance rate cycles, because they also have a cycle-based acceptance rate. So, which means when your last 200 Uber rides, you can only have declined 30 of them, meaning you have to take 170 out of your last 200 rides, which is so much easier said than done. But hey, I mean, it's absolutely worth it if you see an increase in the premier rides and reservations, right? So admittedly, I have seen a minor spike in the amount of Uber rides and reservations, Uber Premier rides and reservations that I've been getting recently, but I have no idea if that's because the slowdown for the Premier rides and reservations from the beginning of the year has finally stopped, or if this is actually a benefit of Uber Platinum kicking in my market, and I'm actually getting more reservations directly. With the reservations, I have seen a minor spike recently since the beginning of April. And in fact, on some days, in some cases, like if I'm actually online and waiting for Premier rides, I believe the demand has actually gone down since I hit Uber Gold. And I didn't think that was possible because the demand was already so slow since. But yeah, it's been kind of a drag getting to Uber Platinum. So with all that said and done, it's time to answer the question, are these rewards worth it for that stupid acceptance rate requirement that you have to deal with? If you don't have to worry about acceptance rate in your market, absolutely. Go out and grind out those rides and get to that Uber Diamond status, get all the rewards and perks from there if they are the same as the ones that I described today in my market. If you do have to worry about acceptance rate in your market, which I imagine is majority of us, then it's just going to depend on the value of the rides that you're actually getting in your market. If you're in a really good market with really good rides and the acceptance rate requirement is on the lower end, like the 70% end, then yeah, I would say it's probably worth it to at least try for it. But if you're in a bad market with a high acceptance rate requirement of 85%, then absolutely not. If you got one of both, then you're just gonna have to weigh the rewards value yourself versus the opportunity cost that you're gonna have with taking every single ride or taking a majority of the rides that you have to take. So will I continue to be a platinum driver? I might. I mean, I'm not gonna force myself to maintain that 85% acceptance rate, but I think you get like a 10% grace period for every new quarter to like 75%. But even then, I'm not gonna force myself to maintain that if I'm only getting like really bad UberX ride offers. But I live in a well-paying market and I know and understand the busy times in the market most of the time. So it's possible, but not really likely, if I'm being honest, that I'm going to keep and maintain any form of platinum or diamond unless long-term I just don't see any really impactful premier rides and reservations without at least Uber Platinum. But what about diamond? Is Kian gonna go for diamond? No, at least not intentionally. But if I start to get close to the requirements for Uber Diamond in terms of the points and the acceptance rate and everything, then I don't know, I may give it a shot, but I wouldn't hold your breath for that one. Also, something to note, I do have a 3-month Uber Pro Pass thing, so what happens is if I fall out of Uber Platinum, because I've gotten it twice now, apparently I can just use that to restore the Platinum perks for my Uber Pro, like for like the next 3-month period, without actually having to maintain Uber Platinum. So if I fall out of it, I will be able to maintain it. I have no idea if I can use them, like if they'll work with a lower acceptance rate, or if this is something where it's like it's going to restore it for like once, but if I continue to fall, if it's gonna like remove it. I have no idea how that works. And if you do and you've used the Pro Pass yourself, leave a comment down below. How does it work? Let me know. Overall, Uber Pro is a great reward system. That's one singular feature in removing that acceptance rate requirement away from being a perfect reward system for Uber drivers. I can't recommend it for everyone's case and still think cherry picking is the way to go, but I recommend everyone give it a try in their market to see where the value lies. But I want to hear it from you guys. Are you guys Uber Gold, Uber Diamond, Uber Platinum, or are you none of the above? You're a cherry picker and want nothing to do with the Uber Pro rewards program. Leave a comment down below on where you are with the Uber Pro status. And also, if you guys enjoyed this content, make sure you're subscribed because we have a new video coming out very soon after this one. And on top of all of this, if you want to see how much money I made driving for Uber in 24, click that video over there because I think it's going to surprise a lot of you how much I'm actually making driving for Uber and the other gig apps that I use around the clock. And with all that said and done, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and stay cool.